kasih saudara dan saudari pengurusi majlis yang dihormati barisan kepimpinan Pakatan Rakyat Pulau Pinang, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Dajiao wan shang hao. Hobo. Tanjung, Bungah, are you ready? Are you ready for change? Are you ready for ubah? Ini kalilah. Ini kalilah. Ini kalilah. Uye u. Uye u. Uye u. Sese. Ladies and gentlemen, I just came from another ceramah at Sungai Glugor. In fact, I think Jagdeep Singh was there earlier. I don't know if he told you, but during his speech, we were interrupted by about 300 mat rempit. And there was an incident of violence. A reporter was punched. And after that, we couldn't continue the ceramah. So, these are the examples, and we are hearing more and more of violence that is happening in this political campaign, in this election campaign. A friend of mine from PAS in Sungai Dua on the other side, Seberang Perai, was also beat up 2 days ago because he was carrying a DAP flag. And of course, I told him to lodge a police report. And we have been hearing many incidences of violence. Kita dah, saya rasa dalam beberapa hari yang lepas, dalam beberapa minggu yang lalu pun, dah banyak kes-kes keganasan yang digunakan oleh parti lawan dan sebagainya untuk menakutkan rakyat. They are trying to intimidate the people. They are trying to intimidate the voters, the people, to ensure that they stay in power. But we reject violence, just as we reject and condemn the explosion in Nebong Tebal at the BN Ceramah yesterday. We condemn this. The DAP, Pakatan Rakyat, does not stand for violence. Kami mengecam sekeras-kerasnya segala bentuk keganasan, sebab kita percaya politik ini harus politik yang sihat. Politik seharusnya sesuatu yang di mana kita nak bergaduh, kita bergaduh pasal dasar, polisi. Bukan bergaduh bertumbuk, bukan menggunakan keganasan. We do not want to use violence. That is the new kind of politics that we are trying to do. In my video just now, I spoke about new politics, politik baru, and that is exactly what we want to bring. Pakatan Rakyat, we wish to create a policy state, not a police state, which is what we have right now. A police state where there is no freedom to think, no academic freedom, where the people are oppressed, there's no freedom of assembly. These are all basic rights. Semua ini adalah hak-hak asasi manusia yang patut diberi kepada semua. Tapi di Malaysia, 56 tahun sebagai negara yang merdeka, 56 years as an independent country, we still do not have our liberty and freedom. And the only way to teach them a lesson, how are we going to fight back to this violence? Kita tidak lawan ganas dengan ganas. We will not reply with violence. There is only one thing we can do. On 505, we will teach them a lesson by kicking them out. Can we do that? That is the only way to stop them. The only way to stop them. They can be violent, but we must hold ourselves steady ourselves, be united, face these threats. Never mind, because on 505 we will bury them once and for all. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, selain daripada taktik keganasan, dia juga guna politik perkauman. With the BN, everything is about race, isn't it? Everything is about race. Economic policy is about race. Political policy is about race. Everything is racialized. 56 years of a race-based system. And the worst part is, the race-based system has failed. It has failed. It was meant to help the Malays. But today, the Malays are still poor. You go all around the Bumiputra, in Sabah, in Sarawak, the Malays in Kelantan, in Terengganu, they are still poor. The ones who have become rich are only the cronies. And when it comes to cronies, there's Malay cronies, Indian cronies, Chinese cronies. They are only united in their cronism. But for the rest of Malaysians, they keep separating us. They keep us apart. Why? We have to understand, this is their only model. As long as Malaysians are divided, that is how they maintain power. It is the system inherited from the British. We have never, since 1957, gone out of the trap of racism. But in truth, problems are not racial. When you are poor, whether you're Malay poor, Chinese poor, Indian poor, it's all the same. You have no money. When you have traffic jam, it doesn't matter you're Chinese, Indian or Malay, you're still stuck in the traffic jam. And that is the reality. The reality is non-racial. But the politics in this country make it racial in order to divide the people. Jadi inilah tuan-tuan dan puan. Dia menggunakan taktik perkauman untuk memecah belahkan rakyat supaya senang. It is very easy for them to control the people. Because when the day comes that the Chinese can vote for PAS and the Malays can vote for DAP, then BN is dead. And I think the day has come. I think the day has come. Because we learned last week that when DAP was in trouble, we nearly could not use our symbol, the rocket. Immediately, our friends in PAS, in Keadilan, they said, never mind, you can use our symbol. And this proves that we are now united, unlike in Barisan Nasional. And I believe the people of Malaysia have rejected the politics of Barisan Nasional. The people of Malaysia have rejected the racial system. That is why 3 presidents of 3 component parties in the Barisan Nasional do not even dare to take part in this election. It is because they know they have been rejected by the people. President of MCA, President of Gerakan, and President of SUPP in Sarawak. For the first time, 3 presidents of 3 component parties all do not want to contest because they know they will lose. It is no longer relevant. And we can prove that it is no longer relevant by making sure Pakatan Rakyat wins the next general election. Kita boleh melakarkan satu sejarah baru untuk negara Malaysia. We can create a new future for us, for our children. They have been dividing us for so long. You know, I always say, we are very lucky to be Malaysians. Kita semua bernasib baik, bertuah menjadi rakyat Malaysia. Negara Malaysia, negara yang kaya. Negara Malaysia mempunyai minyak, tanah, air, gas, semua sumber-sumber asli. We have a lot of natural resources. We are a very rich country. In fact, when Malaysia was first formed in 1963, we were richer than most of the countries in the region because we have a lot of natural resources. Our GDP per capita was more than double countries like Korea, Taiwan, and Singapore. Singapore is a country with nothing, small island. What do they have? Don't even have water. Taiwan is a country with nothing. What do they have? Only earthquake and typhoon. Korea in the 1960s, what do they have? War. But today, we in Malaysia, we are listening to Korean songs like Gangnam Style. We are watching Korean shows like Winter Sonata. We are using Korean handphone like Samsung, watching Korean TV like LG, driving Korean cars like Hyundai and Kia. But I think if you go to Korea, is there anyone driving Proton? Is there anyone listening to Malaysian songs? Is there anyone using Malaysian handphones? Because we don't even have handphone. We don't have TV. We have nothing. Why? Why is it a country with so much potential, with so much richness in its soil? Kita negara yang kaya, semua pun ada. Kenapa dalam 50 tahun negara-negara yang tidak mempunyai apa-apa boleh menjadi negara yang kaya, negara yang maju, negara yang membangun, yang sudah bangun? We are still stuck in the middle income trap. We are still stuck, not able to make the leap into a high income economy. Because in Malaysia, we have a lot of corruption. Isn't that right? And corruption is a big cost to the economy and even to us. You see, in other countries, a businessman, when he does business, he has costs. He has raw material costs. He has labor costs. He has transportation costs. But in Malaysia, he has one more cost: corruption costs. Because he has to pay bribe, isn't it? So in the end, siapa yang rugi? Siapa yang rugi? Bila orang berniaga, dia ada kos, dia terpaksa menambah kos sebab kena bayar rasuah. Akhirnya produk jadi lagi mahal. Produk jadi lagi mahal, siapa yang beli? Kita yang beli. Kita yang rugi. We lose out because at the end of the day, corruption makes things inefficient, makes things more expensive, and in the end, the consumers, the people, lose out. That is the problem with corruption. And because of corruption, because in our country we have so many big scandals of corruption. And what do they do with all this corrupt money? They all bring it out of the country. That is why there was a report in 2010, in last year there was a report which states that throughout the whole world in the year 2010, the country with the highest amount of illicit outflow, the most amount of money laundering, of dirty money being washed out of the country, number 1 in the world, China. Number 2, Malaysia. More than 200 billion of money washed out. And the Malaysia Kini did an expose. They revealed that among 1,000 Malaysians who have offshore accounts, Most of them are BN leaders. So this is what they do. They have corrupt practices. They buy submarine, take commission 500 million. But the worst part, they don't even keep the money in Malaysia. They bring it out. So we are bleeding money every day. That is why Malaysia has very high debt. Hutang negara Malaysia sangat tinggi. Tahun 2008, hutang negara Malaysia 267 bilion ringgit, 260 billion. Now our hutang is more than 500 billion ringgit in 5 years, double. Why? Because they are irresponsible in spending. Irresponsible in spending, there's no transparency, no open tender. I give you an example, no open tender. In KL, there's a project to extend the LRT, Ampang LRT extension project, 1.2 billion ringgit. They call the tender. But you see, in Barisan National, a tender is different from our tender. For us in Penang, we do open tender. Open tender means the best price wins. The best company wins. Okay, so they call the tender in KL. And among all the companies that tendered include international companies which specialize in doing LRT. There was one company from France, Belfort. They had the best price, and they were very experienced company. But they did not win the bid. Who won the tender? Company called George Kent. George Kent is a Malaysian company. Is a manufacturer, no experience in doing LRT, but still can win the tender. Why? Because the owner of George Kent, Tan something, I forgot the name. He happens to play golf with Datuk Sri Najib. So that is how you win contracts in Malaysia. This is cronyism. So because of that, we have all our projects, government contracts, all going to waste because it is not properly awarded, corruption happens, money under the table, the companies, they are not qualified, they win the project. And that is where you have wastage, that is where you have money leaking down the drain, and that is why Malaysia is in trouble. Malaysia is in trouble. 15 years in a row, we have had budget deficit. Budget deficit is when you spend more than you earn. For 15 years in a row, our Malaysian government has been spending more than they earn. So when you spend more than you earn, what do? You need money to pay for to pay salaries, to pay for your projects, your infrastructure. What do? You borrow money. So every year the Malaysian government borrows more and more money. That is why our debt has increased and doubled in 5 years. Keep on borrowing money. So every year they give 500 ringgit to people. Actually they are borrowing money and then giving it back to you. In the end, who has to pay? We have to pay. So don't be fooled. They give you money, but they are actually borrowing money. That is the difference between us and them. Pakatan Rakyat, every year since we took over Penang, we have had surplus budget. Surplus budget means we spend less than we earn. We have increased our spending, but we have also increased our earnings. So, and that's the difference. When you spend less than you earn, you have extra money. That is where we take the extra money, we give it back to the people. That is how we do our programs. 100 ringgit for senior citizens, single mothers, students, babies, and so on. We get the money from surplus. The last time Malaysia had a surplus was 1998. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim was finance minister. That is why, if we want to fix our economy, we need to make Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim the Prime Minister of Malaysia. Can we do that? Very, very important. We have a very different economic philosophy compared to the BN. Pakatan Rakyat does not believe in enriching cronies. We believe in enriching the people. We believe that if we make the people richer, that the economy will grow. And we have proven that by having clean governance. In Penang, by having clean governance, our economy has grown in 5 years. All of you have seen. Investment has increased. Today, MCA took an ad in the Star newspaper. I saw the ad. It says, Pakatan Rakyat will not bring stability. And when you have no stability, there will be no investment. In the last 5 years, Penang state government under Pakatan Rakyat has got 36 billion ringgit of investment. Previous 5 years, under Tan Sri Kosukun, 18 billion ringgit in investment only. We doubled it. Because we have clean governance, investors are confident. They know that you have open tender. They know they don't have to pay under table money. They know that they won't be cheated. That's why they are confident and they invest in Penang. So if you want investors to be confident and invest in Malaysia, we need a new and clean government in Putrajaya. And so we have proven in the last 5 years, investments have gone up, economy has gone up, life has been much better. So these are all lies that they are doing. They are trying to fool the people. But in actual fact, Malaysia is in a bad condition today because we have been ruled by a government that does not take care of the people. They have made many rich billionaires, all their cronies. But what about the people? That is why we believe, Pakatan Rakyat, in our manifesto, we say we will take care of the people. How? We cannot raise your salaries. That is true. Even if we become government, we cannot raise your salaries. But what can we do? We can lower prices. And that is what we will do. We will lower petrol prices, we will lower car prices, we will lower toll prices. And by doing that, people will have more money in their pockets. When you have more money in your pockets, you can spend. And when you can spend, the economy grows. And that is how we can build a strong economy for Malaysia. Do you want that? Ladies and gentlemen, 56 years ago, our country received our independence. 56 years ago, our forefathers, our leaders wanted to build a united nation, a prosperous nation. But unfortunately today, 56 years later, we do not have that. We have an economy that is sick. We have a country that is not run well, that is corrupt, losing money every day. And this is why we need to change. It is very, very important. So I appeal to you, before I end my speech, I appeal to you to tell all your friends and all your relatives, especially those working outstation in Singapore, overseas, tell them to come back. Tell them to come back and tell their friends to come back and tell them to vote. Because that is the only way we can beat Barisan Nasional. Everyone must vote. Can you do that? Can you help us? Can we build a new Malaysia? To do that, we need all your help. Inni Kalilah. Inni Kalilah. Inni Kalilah. Thank you.